What's up, horror fans? Pete here from the Lassercast, where me and my good friend Danny, with the succulent Chinese meal shirt, are here to talk about horror movies and streaming shows. Danny, we covered Yellowjackets, the finale, the other day, but had some technical difficulties, right?
It wouldn't be you and I getting together to cover a show without a few of them. So less chit chat, more Yellow Jackets. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. I've restarted the router too, so hopefully that'll be a good thing. Okay, Yellowjackets, you made some really, really good points. I think the key point that you made last time was how this could have been the finale for the show.
So now that a few days have passed since the finale on Friday, we're now recording this Sunday afternoon. My sister and I agreed with your point. I started by saying you had texted me in the middle of the night, Texas time. I fucking hate this show, or this show fucking sucks, was your
Right.
But you then admitted that was in the very beginning of the episode, and I think we kind of agreed that even though this was a very disappointing season overall, and even though
Yes.
this season felt like it dragged for the first probably 5.5 episodes, and then just when it came back, it went off the rails last week, that it brought it back to a very good conclusion, to the point, and this is your point, so I'll give you all the credit for it. You said this would have been a great series finale, not just season 3 finale. You're
Yes.
the person who, when we first started covering the show, said that according to the creators, Ashley Lee, Bart Nickerson, they have apparently a 5-year plan or 5-season plan.
Right.
And I said, and this is weirdly a compliment to this episode, and maybe not a compliment to my feelings towards the show overall.
Okay.
But if the show got canceled, I don't think I would be upset.
Nope.
And I think that I would end up feeling a lot more positive with this being the final episode, because this, to me, tied up so many loose ends. It didn't tie them all up, but it leaves it off with our biggest thing with this season was Sophie Thatcher is absolutely killing it as young Nat, which feels like a weird decision to make coming off a season finale of season 2 where you killed adult Nat.
Right.
So this season you've had adult Shauna drifting back towards her absolute craziest, which we're seeing in the young timeline. And we've seen young Nat drifting more towards being the true leader of the Yellowjackets. The only one you could argue doesn't really have a detrimental part to her character. Like there's nothing about Nat that is like, well, she did, steal the black box, or she did, kill the guy with an axe upon seeing him. There's none of that with her. Yes, she participated in the cannibalism. That was to live. But she has been the leader of that group in the direction of good from the beginning. And this episode ends, spoiler alert, with Nat basically getting one over on Shauna, and sneaking away during the hunt to take the black box, the repaired black box, to the tippy top of the mountain, where we get the amazing Living on an Edge by Aerosmith playing in the background. And it ends with, and I was like saying it to myself as it's happening, like, we need to hear a voice on the other side of that. And then it just ends with her screaming into like this abyss, like, can anybody hear me? I can hear you. And it's just like living on the edge, that moment, total goosebumps, hits the credits, and I'm like, that's it? Like that is a great ending to the show.
Right.
And I wrote down at the bottom of my page of notes, it's a perfect series finale. Nat
Right.
defeats Shauna. Rescue is incoming. Adult Shauna has officially snapped. Her family has escaped her. And in the adult timeline, it's going to basically be Ty and Shauna going after each other. I don't need 20 more episodes.
No, no, no.
So,
I totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah, no, we made some good points in our last recording that didn't go through, and now it's probably gonna fucking freeze since I'm talking, right? But I was gonna say that like this show, the Yellowjackets are around our age, right? I don't know their exact ages, but they went to school around the same time as us, and the show takes place like 5 years ago at this point too.
yeah.
Grip is the name of that album, right? That has Living on the Edge.
Get a grip.
Yeah. So it's like of its time. Remember, like being their age when that song was like big, maybe a couple of years before. Like, it was such an exciting, and that a lot of characters in the plane crash era have taken a back seat so that other characters could kind of stand out. Like Travis is almost.
Yeah.
Her biggest moment prior to this episode was like killing Coach Ben. That was like her moment for this season. But then this was like this fucking when they synced it up with the music and how it's called Living on an Edge and she's literally on a fucking mountainside. It was just perfect.
Yeah. I just don't need. I don't know if I need any bit more. I think
yeah. And so like one thing that I've talked to you about is how like on Reddit there's a Yellowjackets thread and they have so many good posts on that thread, like all these theories. Was 3 of the most hated characters in television, and it had Joffrey from. It had Ramsay Bolton, Shauna. I was like, I think I actually hate Shauna more than the other 2.
Well, the other 2 you only have to deal with as one character. Shauna you have to deal with in 2 timelines with 2 performances. And the actresses who play Shauna, I want to give them their props because I love Melanie Lynskey. I've always had not like a thing for her, but I've always really enjoyed her. Like, I think the first time I saw her was in Ever After with Drew Barrymore, where she was like the good stepsister.
Right.
And I've always liked her. And Sophie Nélisse is like a force of fucking nature as young Shauna. And she really has a phenomenal season finale. This whole season, like, you want to talk about like a actress who comes out and is just like, I'm going to take over the fucking screen. She dominates. She dominates this season. I do like the other thing that I really liked about this episode. The name of the episode is Full Circle.
Yes.
And we get a lot of full circle moments. Like the show starts with the hunt and Pit Girl. And when the show starts, we see that as like a moment of the Antler Queen and what the fuck is going on with these girls, and they're going crazy. And we actually realize that that hunt is done where basically everyone but Shauna, Lottie, and maybe Ty are against them and like killing time and dragging things out purposely to give Nat as much time as possible to escape, to sneak away, and to, get them rescued. My sister and I were talking about how like season 4, if the show gets renewed, would probably be them getting rescued And then we would probably spend a lot of time with the returned girls, like adapting to life in regular society, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and you see the sad part is for me is that that's actually interesting,
Yeah.
but all the characters I like are dead as adults. So it's
Right.
like, do I want to watch teenage Nat and Sophie Thatcher act her ass off, and Misty and all these Shauna have to like put the Antler Queen behind her to become the woman that she is? That's all interesting, but it's going to lead us back to the adult timeline that I'm really not that interested in, where
Right.
we end with this season.
Yes. But points I wanted to bring up that address what you were just saying too, right? Like you and your sister have been talking about how you think like everything's explained. It's not really supernatural, right? When Nat died and when Van died, they both had the same experience. Now I know we could say like they're dead, there's nothing crazy going on Earth, but I think it's weird that like Nat and Van have the same experience. They're both sitting in the middle aisle, their younger self is there talking to them, right? Like there's something about that. They're like, this is how it's supposed to play out. So you got that. Then another thing that's kind of supernaturally in this episode is when Ty's like, I forgot so much stuff about the wilderness and I feel like it's coming back. And Shauna is writing in her little notepad and she's like, I feel like my old self is coming back. It's almost like they supernaturally. So I don't want to write off the supernatural element completely because I feel like there's still some evidence that exists.
I think that there could be, and I do think like we've talked about how it would be a clever kind of a twist on a twist where they base so much of the first two seasons on this idea of the supernatural and then spend all of season three deconstructing it only to then kind of come back to it. There's parts in this episode that I didn't really fully understand.
Yes,
A
yes.
lot. The whole beginning with Lottie,
Yeah.
where her she it looked like it was her younger self waking up her dead body in the morgue, but then she's alive and she finds the staircase and she lights all the candles, and that's what leads to her death. And my sister and I were talking about like the whole conversation she has with Callie. That conversation got weird where it made me feel like they were going to reveal something really crazy about Callie, where I thought they were going to like Shauna ends up getting pregnant in the wilderness,
Oh.
or that maybe it was like, Callie, maybe Shauna comes back and like her and Jeff get back together, but like the math doesn't work out and the baby's actually, I don't know. It set up like a couple things in my head. They also, I swear I'm not going to go on a lost tangent, but when Shauna started journaling at the end, I wrote down, oh my God, they're going to go back and she's going to tell them that they need to go back. And I went, oh God, they're going to do that thing. And I don't want them to do that. And I thought, wouldn't that be ironic if the adults end up somehow back in the wilderness? They somehow, if they were rescued, logically they would know the exact coordinates of where the plane that picks them up lands.
Yeah.
So, do they, does Shauna, take over an airplane or a helicopter and fly them to the fucking wilderness.
Yeah.
The other thing that my sister brought this up, and I actually went back and I rewatched this part of the episode.
Yeah.
Akila's scene with Lottie in the cave.
Yep.
So we find out that Akila is the one who murdered the animals by poisoning them. But she did that kind of because she was being prodded by Lottie. We need to do a hunt. You should probably get these, if we have animals to eat, nobody's going to want to do a hunt. But then she gets angry with Lottie and she grabs a rock like she's going to hit her. But then in the next scene, Lottie is stopping Mari.
It froze, everybody.
Are you there? I hear you.
I am. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. We see Lottie come out of the cave.
Yeah.
She stops Mari before Mari eventually falls down into the pit and spikes herself to death. And we never see Akila again for the rest of that episode.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and my sister is like, does Lottie kill Akila in the cave? We know that Lottie is prone to just flat out acts of murder.
Yeah.
She acts the scientist in the fucking head. So maybe she saw that Akila was turning against her and was, had a rock in her hand, and maybe, we don't know. Like, that's like a hanging thread that if season 4 gets, comes back, that I'm sure they'll address that.
Yeah.
So it does leave a lot of issues that can lead to some decent television. I'm just not sure again that 20 episodes, nearly 20 hours of my life over and like I said to my sister, it's April, we're talking now on April 14th. We're not getting, even if it gets renewed tomorrow, we're not getting a season 4 until midway through 2026. We wouldn't get a 2020. We wouldn't get a season 5 until probably 2027 to 28. So it's not just 20 more hours, 20 more episodes. It's literally another 2.5 to 3 years committing back to this show.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem with modern day streaming shows, is that they take so long between the seasons that I know that if season 4 comes back, you and I are going to have to frantically watch our own YouTube videos to remind ourselves what happened.
Yeah, at least somebody will watch them then, but you said 15 things I want to first off, that's a really great point about Akila being MIA in the episode, right? Second point, this is something I was thinking about after watching the show. How did they have fucking goats? How come there's goats in the woods? I don't get that. Where'd they come from?
They're in the woods. Animals live in the woods.
Okay, I don't usually know about wild goats in the woods, but okay. I don't know why I never asked it on this show before.
That's a good question, though.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe someone in the comments can answer it. But here's my third question now. Do you find that a little hard to believe that she would poison all the animals? She seemed to love the animals so much. Why would she kill them all?
I think that there's a level of commitment to Lottie's insanity. I think that there's, especially from Akila and Travis, where at first, they were willing to buy into, here, take these drugs and go on an acid trip. Go back in the cave and inhale that gas so that you have a vision. the last vision she had was Aquila was that Coach was the bridge, and they Coach dies. They cook his body for a meal, and that brings Hannah, Cody, and Hannah's boyfriend. Um, you know, I mean, I don't buy that Hannah would turn around after having her life threatened and being like this, you know, dainty little flower who's like recording a like I love you recording for the daughter that she doesn't even live with. I don't buy for a second that she's gonna just stab a guy in the face, and then get indoctrinated into the cannibal club. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't buy that for a second, and obviously we know Hannah's gonna get killed. She doesn't make it back.
Right.
And you have a feeling that the way this episode ended, that Shauna like literally might have just turned back on her and killed her.
Right. Well, so
Because
okay.
she, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
In that opening sequence, I think before they show the credits, they have this scene where it looks like Nat's older. They go into the like hot, and they're like mad at her, and people look older. Like Nat's hair's longer. I think that Hannah, her hair shorter, and she's holding a gun, I think, and she's there, and they're all like kind of mad at Nat. Do you remember that scene? Do you know what I'm talking about? Is that like the
Well, the other thing, I don't know if we even mentioned it this time, was that I'm not sure I remember the specific scene you're talking about, because like don't they do the drawing for the hunt right at the beginning also? Because Hannah would have drawn the Queen of Hearts.
right? Oh, well, that's a whole nother thing to talk about too. No,
Yeah.
this is like before the credits. I think the hunt is after the credits and is messing around but like weird scene, Danny, because I felt like lost where it was like jumping ahead. See, now I'm making lost connection here. Like I felt like it was jumping ahead. Come on. Am I still here?
Yep.
You can hear me? No?
Yeah, it's a little frazzled.
Okay. Like, okay. Go on Paramount Plus later and look and see if this scene is there. But I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It seems so weird. They had Nat at gunpoint. They go into this and like she betrayed Nat. I don't know what the fuck that scene was, and it was so random. But to just address what you were saying about Shauna, really interesting, like evil she is, at this point. And and the other thing that was part of the unpacking I wanted to do with you was it was hereditary, right? It almost feels like her baby that died would have been the vessel for the wilderness, but now there's going to be the other baby, and it's going to be Callie.
Yeah. I don't know where that was going. I like the idea that like Callie is revealed to be the one who murdered Lottie. I put murdered in quotes because I don't know if I don't think she would get locked away for first degree murder there. That feels much more manslaughterish and like
yeah. Did she just like fall down like 3 steps too? Like they made it look so dramatic. Yeah, go ahead.
I just also feel like it felt like Lottie wanted. It felt like Lottie was putting herself in that position, like grabbing her hands the way she did, like almost like she was like, if you let go, I'm gonna fall.
Yeah.
And you're like taunting her that she's the baby that they needed, and that your mother's jealous of you because you're, worse than her. Like the idea that maybe Callie is supposed to be the true antler queen. I just don't know. Like that, like I said before, that scene left me with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Like the only answer I got out of that was, oh, okay, so Callie is the reason Lottie died.
Yeah.
But also, like, nobody in that building sees a rich woman go into a weird staircase that, like, apparently leads to nowhere. Like, hey, Miss Lottie, what are you doing with what are you doing with the entire spring collection from Bed Bath and Beyond and a lighter?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. That's a really good point. I don't know where the fuck that's supposed to be.
I
You
said to my
know, maybe.
sister, one of my biggest pet peeves in any genre is the big candle scene because it never makes any sense, whether it's for horror or romantic, to light 200 candles. And it's like in a romantic movie, they'll be like from the door, up the stairs, around the bend, into the bedroom. And I'm like, so
Right.
they're going to go upstairs and have sex and the house is going to burn down.
Right.
And like in a horror movie, it's like, I need to establish the mood by lighting every candle in the building. It drives me crazy. I don't know why. I hate candle scenes.
No, dude, I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's over the top, and I guess it explains why Callie killed Lottie. And I'm okay with the idea of like Callie being this kind of vessel, at least in Lottie's eyes. If there is a supernatural element to the show, then that means that she's a vessel for the wilderness. If there's not a supernatural element to the show, that means that Lottie's just crazy and she brought her upon her.
Yeah,
Lot
there
to
was
unpack in this.
there was a couple other things that I just wanted to point out.
Go ahead.
So like we talked about the drawing and how Ty and Van had been rigging it, and Hannah was gonna draw the queen anyway, and Shauna steps in to take the spot, which causes Mari to get the queen instead. And Mari obviously becomes the victim of the pit, but her hunt becomes necessary because it allows Nat to kind of sneak away. Um, the other thing is, and I thought this was interesting because they are two of the only adults left. There's a moment during the hunt where Shauna, who is, the badass who wants to, show off how evil she is, she completely steps down when Ty gets aggressive with her.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
the like only time where we see like a look of fear um in Shauna. And that would be an interesting way to play with the adult characters next season, where because adult Ty, even though Melissa killed Van, she doesn't blame Melissa. She blames Shauna because Shauna's the one that dragged Melissa back into the whole world of the Yellowjackets.
Yes. Yeah. They definitely made like a concentrated effort to try to get us excited, which I think they are going to try to make one. And we're going to talk about that 1 second, but you just brought up the part. That's actually the part when I texted you in the middle of the night, and I was like, "This show sucks," or "The show fucking sucks," or something like that. Because when Shauna did that thing where she stood in the way, and that's when I got like really upset. And then when she was like, she said some horrible stuff to Mari too, like about how she looked or something like that, or and I just idea is that like she's a cruel person. She's a bad
Yeah.
person to begin with. This
Did you mention
scenario.
the line she says to Travis too?
No, tell me, what is it?
Oh, well, she said something like, you can go join your brother.
Oh yeah. That's right. When I was texting you, it was like all that shit was going down. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But then in that sequence, though, there's an interesting part. I hear different minds, or it all kind of blends together, and then he like reveals something about her that he shouldn't know too, you know?
That like yeah, that he hears Jackie's voice too, something to that effect.
Yeah, so there's some supernatural stuff going on there, or at least alluded to. I mean, everything can get explained, right? You'd be like, well, he's been taking a
Yeah.
lot of drugs, they're in the wilderness. But I know that they're probably going for something like they were trying to do with like Walter White, where the idea is that we're having a character that starts out one way, maybe the audience connects with them, they're sympathetic, but over the course, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Shauna. And I've seen on those Reddit threads that like a lot of people hate Shauna, right? I couldn't stand her, and I didn't. And there were things in that sequence that got on my nerves too, like especially when like young Melissa attacked Shauna just randomly, but then didn't like kill her. Like she just stopped, and I was like, it would have been better if like Shauna got the upper hand or something, not just that like she tried it and then didn't do it.
See, I like the way that scene worked because it shows that even though other Yellowjackets identify Shauna as like fucked up and beyond all repair, she is foobarred as a human being, they are not. And so Melissa doesn't want to become like a cold blooded murderer. Like she'll participate in the hunt because there's the element of, well, if you don't, then they might turn on you and kill you. And she'll, hook up with Shauna maybe because she'll think that that will help her survive. But she doesn't want to be a cold blooded murderer and just, attack this person who she did have a relationship with. Um, I made this point to my sister and I said it to you last week. It just feels like Shauna went from sympathetic, like all these terrible things happen to her, and it's like she's snapping, and then they just kind of. And so, I even said to my sister, it feels like they got all the wrong lessons from the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, where it's like, oh, the Joker is the good guy. Like
Right.
the Joker isn't the problem. Society is the problem. No, the Joker is fucking evil. He's always been evil, and I don't want to identify with the good parts of him. Like he's a fucking psychopathic murder clown, and that's basically what Shauna has become. Like she is a psychopathic murder clown, but she's also somebody who they spent a lot of time breaking down mentally because of the loss of her baby, because of the loss of her best friend, and forcing her to eat her best friend, and and all of these things. And it just feels like they made this unredeemable monster that I don't like. The only thing we have left with Shauna is for her to get killed, and I'm all by myself. That's amazing. uh yes, I feel like that's all that we have left for Shauna. I like that when I sit like this it looks like I'm the antler queen. Do, do, do. Let's see if Pete makes it back on.
We got
Oh, here.
in the middle. All right, you're talking about the Joker and the Joker's evil. Keep going.
No, and just like I don't want a redemption arc for an evil character. There's no place for Shauna to go now than to
But
be
hell,
killed.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I actually like her younger self more than I dislike her older self too, because she's so fucking mean and arrogant. And of course, she becomes the Antler Queen. Were you satisfied with the reveal?
So he, he, uh, I was satisfied with the reveal of.
Hey, I'm back. Hello, there he is. Okay, what's up?
Okay. Yes, I liked Shauna's reveal as the Antler Queen. Um,
Right?
so I liked it, but what I liked about it was that it's all a show. It's all
Yeah.
bullshit. It's the whole long ceremony with the slow killing of Mari, the feast, the dressing of Shauna as the Antler Queen. It's all done in service of Shauna's ego, but really of Nat to get as far away as possible without anyone noticing so that she can get them all rescued. And I
Yeah.
think that, we talked about for 3 seasons who's the Antler Queen. Oh, it's Lottie. It's probably Lottie. Maybe it's Ty because Ty has that other. And to have it be, and again, the name of the episode is Full Circle. So for it to
Right.
come full circle and be Shauna and
Yeah.
to really be a placating of her ego that actually leads to her downfall because she wants to stay in the wilderness. And the idea of being rescued for her is her downfall because she'll have to go back to society. And like another episode title earlier this year, she'll have to live a simple, boring life.
Right. Really great point. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, when you phrase it like that, Danny, that does make that whole sequence a lot better. Do you think that they planned to have the hunt so that so Nat could escape like that?
I think that I think Nat's plan was always when the hunt happens, that's when I'm going to be able to be free to get away.
Okay.
I don't because I don't I don't think Aquila killed the animals to help Nat. I think Aquila killed the animals
To help
because of
Lottie.
because of Lottie.
Right. Right. Okay.
So I do think that like once they made the circle, I think the plan was at that point in motion that we're going to do a hunt. Somebody's going to draw the queen and I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I think that like obviously her bumping into Hannah and switching clothes with Hannah,
Right. Okay.
that also helped out. I don't think that was set up. I think Hannah just like revealed her cards is that she
Right.
just wants to get the fuck out of there and she'll side with whoever she thinks gives her the better chance.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. Her running into Hannah shows that they weren't happy. You're right. Very good point. Yeah. Um, one other thing too I want to point out is like Mari falling into the pit was actually super disturbing too. It all fits because it's like, oh, this looks just like it did in the very first episode. Uh, they show her finger fucking twitching on a spike. I was like, God damn it. I think they showed a spike going through her face.
Yeah.
And she's got almost like a Joker kind of face because she's got these holes in the sides of her face.
It reminded me of Smile, the beginning of Smile 2.
Oh, I didn't see that yet, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene at the very beginning where like there's an accident in the snow and the blood on the snow is like a smile.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like
I mean,
another great full circle moment is Misty's smile. We always are meant to interpret that as, oh, she's fucking crazy and she's excited to like eat a person. But in reality, again, it's that smile is like the ha, we're getting rescued. Like we beat Shauna. I helped. And you could tell why um Misty had such an undying loyalty to Nat even as an adult because Nat could have revealed the secret that they basically were kept in the wilderness because of Misty hiding the black box to begin with.
right.
And she
Really
never
good.
did.
Yeah. Really good point too. Um, you know, I love that like Shauna yells. She's like, "Where the fuck is Natalie?" And like it's like a scene from a movie like like Gary Oldman in The Professional. Like,
Send
it's like,
everyone.
yeah. I love that sequence. I'm just trying to think. There's so much to talk about in this fucking episode. I had one more point too that I wanted to make. We killed
There was
girl.
I'm trying to think of like my sister and I, our conversation. We were talking about like how it's interesting that if you look at who's still alive, like Ty and Shauna, and I think we made this point last week where it's like Ty, Shauna, and Lottie, they're the three that wanted to stay and be in the wilderness. And they're the three who seem like they're the least impacted by the Yellowjackets when they get home. And Shauna writes in her book that it's like it's almost as if we forgot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's from it. Like the idea of like when the kids leave Derry, they forget about Pennywise. They forget it. But like Shauna is like, we forgot how awesome and fun it was.
She's right. She's like, I was a queen for warriors, and I was a fucking says something like
That's
that.
when I thought, I swear to God, that's when I was like, she's gonna look at the camera and go, we need to go back. And I was gonna go, no.
But you know what, Danny? That actually would be full circle too, right? Because you could have the adult Yellowjackets in the wilderness, and then you could be having flashbacks where the young Yellowjackets are rescued. So it'd be like inverted. That'd be kind of interesting too. And that actually might happen by the final season too. So I think we covered everything I want to talk about. Like, what would get you interested for 20 episodes?
I am interested in like the rescue and the immediacy of the return. I think that would be interesting. Like we obviously don't know who the other survivors are. Although I like my sister and I talked about it where it's like suddenly introducing new survivors, it kind of feels stale and like, oh, we've done that already. Like, oh, look, Van is still alive. Whoa. Oh my God. Melissa's still alive. Holy shit. Yeah. And it's like, oh, and here's Jen and Akila and, that girl.
Even Lottie was that. Because you didn't think that Lottie was alive for the first season. It really just seemed like it was just the four of them. And then all of a sudden there's
the four of them and Travis. Because obviously Travis, but then Travis is dead almost immediately.
Right.
I don't know. I really think it was like I just don't see, and this was my biggest point to my sister. From a writing standpoint, it doesn't make sense to kill Natalie and then base season 3 so much on Sophie Thatcher and her development as young Nat, where the season starts, she is the leader of the Yellowjackets. She's the one who has to make the heartbreaking decision to kill Coach Ben. She's the one who is trying to deal with the unraveling of Shauna. She's the one who is the most excited at seeing the three strangers at like the, oh my God, we're going to go home, pack your bags. And then she's the one who leads the insurrection at the end.
Rebellion. Yeah.
And actually does the thing to get them rescued. It just seems like such a weird story to tell of, oh, we killed this adult, so we're going to give the young character so much screen time. I brought up to my sister, like in it, in It Chapter 2, they bring the kids back for flashbacks. They don't give Stanley uh, an hour and a half of screen time and
Right.
really develop his arc as a character, because his death is what galvanizes the adults. His suicide with writing it on the wall. It's like, okay, well, that adult is dead. So, yeah, logically, his younger self has to be there, but they're probably the least important of the losers going forward.
Right. Right.
And it just doesn't make narrative sense to be like, okay, we killed off Juliette Lewis as adult Nat, so let's make young Nat one of the focal points of the next season.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
had, if she was alive, and I'm not saying I want there to be some kind of like bizarro resurrection,
Ooh.
but if she was still alive, I'd be so interested in a season 4. As it is, I'm like 50-50. If the show got canceled, I can look back and go, okay, great first season, really good series finale by default at the end of season 3. Some great acting along the way, some great villains along the way. Not how I would have done it, but okay, I don't hate the time I spent. I just feel like this is a case where it can end up like a Dexter, where there is that great logical ending point. For Dexter, it was the end of season 4 with the Trinity Killer,
Right.
and every season after that. Season 5 was good. Season 6 was fine. Season 7 was forgettable, and season 8 was atrocious. And it's just like, I don't want a once great show to, you know, is it better to burn out or fade away? It's the old,
Yeah. Yeah.
saying. And I don't know, with this show, it can go either or.
Yeah. I think Neil Young thinks it's better to burn out than to fade away. And I mean, you kind of brought it to a good like kind of close, but I did have one other point I wanted to bring up real quick. On Reddit, I've seen a couple of times how people are confused. Then watch the first season, they treat Misty like she's the real problem, like she's the bad one, right? Like, oh, Misty's dangerous. That's how they treat her. But then if you look at the past, yeah, Misty has done some bad things. They seem to be okay with Shauna in the first season when they see her again. But then with Misty, they treat her like she's the monster. Don't you think that's kind of interesting?
Yeah, I feel like Misty, like my sister and I joked around that like I would have never expected to really love Misty as a character, given how she was. Like my sister reminded me, I completely forgot that Misty kidnapped a reporter and murdered her in her basement.
Right.
I was like, what? When did that happen? And then I went, oh my God. Yeah, but the problem is season 1, I think, came out 4.5 years ago at this point. So it's like, I barely remember that. And, I feel like Misty's character finally is getting some of her own agency. Her character has basically been, I was never accepted because I wasn't a member of the Yellowjackets. I was, the assistant coach or the water girl or whatever it was, the uniform girl, whatever it was. So she was never treated as one of the group, both younger and as an adult. But I think now she has the agency that she helped Nat get them rescued.
Yeah.
She, as an adult, she seems as if she has effectively cut Shauna off now, where she recognizes that Shauna is a psychotic woman who's outright going to murder people. She tells Callie, you should tell your dad, and you should get out of, you should stay clear of your mom.
Right.
And like, and then she and Ty seem like they have like formed this kind of uneasy alliance. So it's like Misty has reclaimed her agency as a character. And I think the thing that I love the most about Misty is I think you see the most clearly between the young and the old Misty. Samantha Hanratty and Christina Ricci, they are just perfect
Yep.
with each other. My sister told me Samantha Hanratty, who plays young Misty, is married and just had a baby.
Yep, that's absolutely right. She looks very different too because her hair is obviously different. She doesn't wear glasses. She looks
It's
totally
just
different.
like this is the problem. This is like when Stranger Things comes back, Millie Bobby Brown is going to be Millie Bobby Bon Jovi, and
Wow.
yeah, she's like already married, and it's like you can't you can't start a show with 14-year-olds and then turn them into 30-year-olds by the time you're done making a five season
See,
long series.
I know,
It's
man. I
it's
know.
driving me crazy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I had fun talking about it, even though sometimes it was trouble to watch. Kind of like, all right, like, can we just get through this deem themselves at the very end there. I'll be down if it comes back. Of course, I'll record with you. But I'm looking forward to other shows that we cover, like Interview with the Vampire and things like that. And so, got that covered on horror. I think you just saw Elephant Man, right? And put a review up
Oh,
for that.
yeah, I saw Elephant Man, David Lynch's 1980 film in the theater yesterday at IFC Center. So unbelievably amazing. Not a horror movie, but very clearly evoking some of the classic horror icons in the way it's shot. Absolutely gorgeous black and white. A movie that was nominated for 8 Oscars and did not win any.
Oh,
But wait, here's the best part. Apparently, members of the community in Hollywood were so upset that there was no best makeup category to celebrate and to give the Oscar to the guys who did the makeup for Elephant Man, that the next year the Academy created the best makeup Oscar, and Rick Baker wins the first one in 1981. Well, 1982 at the 19 for the Oscars of the movies of 1981 for An American Werewolf in London. Um,
crazy.
I I was gonna do a short review of Elephant Man, but I just loved it so much that I ended up talking about it for 15 minutes. So if you want to watch that, it's on the channel. The movie isn't streaming anywhere, so you have to maybe go buy a physical copy. And if you're gonna buy a physical copy, and if you live in New York, you can go to Night Owl Video, which is a new physical
Ooh.
video store in Williamsburg. I actually have a video of me talking about that going up on the channel very soon, where I
Nice.
show off my purchases. It's in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, if you live in that area. And then I have some short reviews up on the channel. A really weird year so far, Pete. I have liked 2 consecutive Blumhouse releases.
Oh.
The Woman in the Yard and
Oh, God.
you can check
I haven't
out
seen it.
short reviews, 60-second reviews, spoiler free reviews of those films on the channel now.
Nice, man. Nice. All right. Well, I mean, as always, Danny is always posted on the channel. He's always sharing his love of horror, and he's always going out and seeing things. We're going to keep talking about horror in the last. We'll probably do some more review of the Indian film Devara that came out like a week ago, and we'll do some other non-horror stuff. Maybe.
Yep. Wouldn't be a recording without the